to Schaeffler DTM Talk and welcome Alex here home in Misano on the racetrack. You weren't just a DTM guest driver last year, you really performed some magic. It was just another proof of your irrepressible passion for motorsport. So tell me, how was it possible to stop you from just getting into a race car again?
Well, thank you, of course, for presenting my adventure last year in the way you did. It was tremendous to have the opportunity, and then on top, to finish fifth after such a strange race because of the weather condition, which changed many times along the course of the event. So yeah, it would be, fantastic to have another opportunity. To a certain degree, I was hoping it would be today, but I'm only here as a spectator. The highlight of my day is to be here sitting next to you. Yeah, I'm a young boy, so who knows, maybe down the road I will have another opportunity to drive not only a beautiful race car, but maybe a DTM machine.
I'm sure about that one. You said in an interview last year, in my opinion, the DTM is currently the best and most exciting motorsport series in the world, ahead of Formula One. Wow, that's a clear statement. Why do you think so?
Well, I have to rephrase that a little, in the sense that, of course, Formula One is fantastic, it's fascinating. But the game is quite predictable at times, because it's pretty clear that at the moment there are two teams like Mercedes and Ferrari who are kind of unbeatable from everybody else. Whether in this field the level is incredibly high, all the drivers are top class, and BMW, Audi, Aston Martin, you name them, they have machines equally well prepared. The cars are fascinating, they are beautiful, technologically developed machines. And the game, it's so competitive. The performance very often is measured in thousandths of a second, and this means that every race you may have a guy winning that the following event it's last in the grid, only because he didn't find a way to get the last edge out of his car, and he lost maybe a couple of tenths, and this means often losing a lot of places in the grid. So the race is always quite unpredictable. Of course, sometimes it's frustrating for the drivers, but most of the time it's very enjoyable for the people watching.
So you love the fights, that's obvious. When you're walking around here, there are a lot of people coming to you, say, hey, can we take a picture or a selfie or something else? When you see how incredibly popular you are here and how well you handled a BMW race car last year, to be honest, I know you love challenges. Wouldn't be a regular start in a DTM be that thing for you?
Well, they recognize me just because I've been around a long time. But besides kidding, yeah, on one end it would be cool, but on the other end, I have to remind myself my age, the fact that the real privilege through the course of my life was to fit into it many different experiences, one of which is paracycling. I care a lot about it. I want to go to Tokyo next year to the Olympic Games. So I got a lot of things in my agenda already set, and it would be a little too much probably to couple that all with a full-time engagement in the season in DTM. But if you ask me, Alex, would you be interested in driving again the BMW M4 as a guest driver down the road? I would probably say it's like to ask a cat whether he likes the mouse.
All right, maybe there are some people from BMW watching that. Maybe there's another chance for you. Speaking about this incredible will from you, because you just jumped into a race car 2 years after your accident. Where does your incredible will come from?
I understand the question, but in reality, it's just a question of staying curious, which is not easy at times, because when you go through something which is difficult, not to say to overcome something quite dramatical, which looked to be dramatical at the time, but then for whatever happens in life, there's always the other side of the coin, where nothing is always completely bad or completely good. So you have to take advantage of whatever good comes out of what happens, and try to surf what happens in order to turn it down the road into an opportunity. And all the things that I'm doing these days are basically related to my new condition, proving that I was able to turn what happened to me into probably the greatest opportunity of my life. Maybe the difference between a lot of people and some optimists like I am, it's simply that, you know, people like me are capable of forecasting this from the very beginning, to see that this, yes, it is possible. So only it takes is to put yourself at work. And you cannot solve all the problems in one night, but you can do every day one thing which will serve you a step forward and a new starting point for the following day. So step after step, you may get down to the horizon you're chasing, ended up, you know, embracing once more some new and fantastic adventures like driving a DTM machine, you know, representing BMW to the best of my ability as a brand ambassador, and going to the Paralympic Games, which is, you know, fantastic. If somebody would have forecast this to me a few years ago, being only a race car driver, I would have asked this guy, hey, what have you sniffed? I'm a race car driver, I got nothing to do with the Olympic Games. But this is basically proving that life, in general, has a brighter fantasy that we have. And sometimes we have to accept what she decides for us. And again, as I said, try to surf what happens in order to turn it around into an opportunity.
Embracing life, embracing opportunities. There are some questions in our lives which are, am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I strong enough? These are questions people ask themselves when they want to prove something to the world. And I mean, for race drivers, it would be, am I fast enough? When you started racings like last year DTM or this year Daytona, are these questions which come into your mind, or do you think on a completely different level?
No. But not because you've never asked yourself this. I used to ask this a lot, and then I learned that nobody is fast enough to complete and to achieve what you really want just with speed. You have to work hard, you have to complete the performance with dedication, attention to details, preparation, and on Sunday afternoon, you're just as good as the level of the preparation you have displayed up to that point was. So life is a beautiful adventure in which you just need to try your best, accepting the idea that the best driver in the world simply does not exist. You can be as good as you have prepared yourself that day and as good as the car you're driving is. Also as human beings, often we are asked to challenge different things, to overcome adversity, and again, no one is perfect, no one is totally invulnerable, but you can try to protect yourself and reorganize things in the best way you can. Also, you can try to look around and see who can help you, to achieve what you have in mind. Form a team around yourself. And, I guess sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but once that you have learned that it happened once, you're very anxious to put yourself at work and try again the same exercise.
You say there's not the best race driver in the world, but you're an athlete who achieved a lot of things. So you've driven in Formula One, celebrated numerous race wins. You won Paralympic gold 4 times and several world champion titles on handbike. So what is the most important success to you, and which one was most difficult to achieve?
Luckily, if I have to pick a sportive result that I was able to collect through the course of my career, I would have to think, because as you...
There are so many.
Yeah, as you said, I happen, to enjoy several Sunday afternoon of glories through the course of my racing career, but it's also been a very long one. And this, again, is the real privilege, the fact that I've been able to turn my passions into a profession, which is a big, big privilege. Maybe, I don't know, there's no real days or satisfactions which stands above all, like, wow, the best one. Actually, all these moments were special, but to a certain degree kind of expected. I knew that I was gonna build my day of glory that day. And so when I crossed the line, I was happy, but I wasn't surprised, as I happened to be in other situations during my life. I remember, for instance, people keep approaching me and telling me how good I am, how strong I am, and yes, for sure, I displayed some strength through what I had to do, especially through the course of my rehabilitation, but so did many other, But maybe one day was more important, the compliment I received from my nephew. I play with him, with my son, with the kids all day, and in the night, he went to bed and he told his dad, Dad, when I grow up, I want to do two things. One is to drive a race car, and two, I want to lose my legs like Uncle Alex. Like, in his mind, that was the secret of being cool, of the fact that I was so funny, such a enjoyable uncle, to hang around with. And that, to me, was the greatest compliment I've ever received. And I'll answer this way your question.
Yeah, it sounds like you're living your life on a completely different level. Maybe it was because your biggest victory was far away from the racetrack. It was your victory over death in the hospital in Berlin. What kind of goals do you have in life, and which impact do you want to make?
Well, first of all, I should collect my German passport, because I only have German blood in my veins. When I reach the Olfan Krankenhaus hospital in Berlin, I was basically dead, and they filled me up with German blood, which is the only thing they had available at the time, but it was a very good one. And as a matter of fact, now I like beer, where before I didn't like the taste of the beer. So it has a lot to do with the German blood, I believe. But besides kidding, I live, ironically, because it looks like from the outside, I may look like a guy who plans things, who really does his best to make something happen. In reality, as I said, I try to take advantage of the opportunities I have. I have a beautiful family. I'm a very happy man because I do represent BMW as a brand ambassador, and sometimes, in Munich, they also remember that I can steer the wheel of a race car quite well, so they give me a car to drive. And I hope this will happen quite soon, because paracycling, I can organize this on my own, but drive a race car, I need to be helped. So here I am as a spectator to cheer my mates this weekend, and maybe down the road, as I said, I'll have a taste of the BMW M4 DTM car again, and we'll see.